At a quiet gas station on a late Sunday afternoon in a small town. The kind of place where the hum of life moves slowly and everyone knows everyone else. A story unfolded that would stick with the people who were there forever. A weathered old veteran, retired from his days in the military, had stopped to fill his tank. He was no stranger to the way the world had changed around him, but today, something was different. The rumble of a group of bikers, as they pulled up to the station, shattered the stillness of the moment. They were loud, brash, and full of swagger, the type of people who lived life on the edge and took pride in it. They didn't notice him at first, or maybe they just didn't care. The old man, though, had seen it all before. His hands were rough, the kind of hands that had gripped rifles and held onto memories of far-off lands. He wasn't easily intimidated, but today he was about to be tested in a way he hadn't expected. One of the bikers, a tall man with tattoos snaking up his arms and a leather vest that seemed to demand respect, approached the veteran. "You got a problem, old man?" He sneered. His voice was loud enough for others to hear, drawing the attention of the other bikers, who were now circling like sharks. The veteran didn't flinch. He had spent his life in situations much more dangerous than this. But something about the disrespect in the air rubbed him the wrong way. "No problem," the old man said calmly, his voice steady. "Just getting some gas." But the biker wasn't satisfied. He leaned in closer, almost nose to nose with the veteran. "You know you should show respect to people like me," he growled. The veteran, his age showing in the grayness of his beard and the softness in his eyes, took a deep breath. He wasn't going to fight. Not today. But he wasn't going to back down either. "Respect isn't earned through threats," he said softly, his voice carrying an air of authority, a calm that the young man clearly didn't know how to handle. The biker stepped back, momentarily taken aback by the old man's words. There was something in the veteran's eyes that stopped him in his tracks, a quiet strength that couldn't be ignored. The veteran had lived through times when honor meant something, when people fought for what was right and protected those who couldn't protect themselves. The bikers seemed to sense it too. They exchanged glances, unsure of what to do next. The situation had taken an unexpected turn. One of the women in the group, her hair styled in a mohawk and her attitude just as fierce, stepped forward. "Hey, relax," she said, her voice a little softer than the others. "It's not worth it." She looked at the veteran, her expression softening. "He's just being an idiot. Ignore him." The veteran nodded, giving a small smile of gratitude. He had seen her face before, the face of someone who had experienced their own battles. "Thank you, miss," he said. The tension in the air slowly dissipated, the bikers turning their attention elsewhere. But the veteran's mind was racing. He had seen that kind of anger before, the kind that came from a place of hurt and confusion. It wasn't just about him, it was about something deeper. The bikers weren't bad people, they were lost. It wasn't the first time he'd seen it, and it wouldn't be the last. As he finished fueling his car and walked back toward the door, he caught the eye of one of the younger men in the group, a boy who couldn't have been older than 20. There was something about the way he looked at the veteran, something that made the old man stop. He turned around. "You know," he said, his voice quiet, "life's short. Don't waste it fighting things that don't matter." The young man, who'd been looking for a fight just minutes before, nodded slowly. His eyes dropped to the ground for a moment, as if taking the words to heart. The veteran gave him a final nod before getting into his car, starting the engine and driving off. The bikers stood there for a moment, their bravado replaced by an awkward silence. They didn't know what to make of it. The veteran wasn't some relic of the past to be dismissed. He was a reminder of something real, something that spoke to the heart of all who listened. And though the moment was brief, it left a lasting impression. The young man who had exchanged words with the veteran stood there for a long time, staring into the distance. Maybe he understood. Maybe he didn't. But in that moment, something had changed. The world didn't seem as big or as scary as it had a few minutes before. The gas station, which had once been just a pit stop on the side of the road, now felt like a place where something important had happened. It wasn't about the bikes or the noise or the swagger. It was about the quiet strength of a man who had seen more of the world than any of them, and still found the courage to stand his ground. Sometimes, it's the smallest moments that make the biggest difference.